listeners, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. If I told you it is now feminists that are fighting for the right to date older men, I think you'd probably call me a liar or insane or something else. Because when you think about it, it's always feminists in their 30s and their 40s are very angry at all the guys that are dating the young women in the 20s. And so they get very butthurt. No, this isn't, the old men should date women their old age and not these younger women. But ironically, it's actually the young feminists that want to date the older guys, most specifically the blue-pilled simp guys. Now, why is this? Couple of reasons. Number one, the older generation, well, they got a little bit of money, a little bit more success. The woman slept around with a bunch of dudes while she was in college, and that old blue-pilled simp is about the only person that'll actually date her and maybe wife her up. But there's a second, more interesting thing that is occurring. Gen Z men have gone based, so conservative, so trad, that the women don't want to date them. Sure, they'll still sleep with the hot ones, but they don't want to date them, and they don't because politics over everything else today. This is from the New York Post. Gen Z women are choosing older dudes over guys their own age, and it's not because they're looking for a little sugar connection. Before we get into the main story, let's hear from today's sponsor, The Wellness Company. Let's be real, losing weight isn't about just looking good. It's about taking back control of your overall health. 42% of adults in America are classified as obese. Obesity is directly linked with severe health issues, including heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and cancer. These illnesses are costing Americans over $173 billion each year in medical expenses alone. If you've tried diets and different workouts with no success, it's not your fault. Big Food and Big Pharma have rigged the system against you by contradicting information, leaving you confused. But here's the good news. The Wellness Company just launched Drop, a GLP-1 peptide oral drop formula developed by their chief medical board, specifically designed to support your metabolism, curb cravings, and help you shred weight. That's right, no injections or risk of severe side effects like we're seeing in the Zempic jab. Simply take a drop in water, gradually increasing quantity over time, and let your body do the rest. Start your weight loss journey today and get $50 off plus free shipping. Head to twc.health/oddmanout and use code oddmanout to save $50 today. Links are down below as always. And now back to me. Let me scroll down here to the main portion of the article. Because up here, they're talking about a TV show, and I guess it's got this young gal in her 20s and this dude in his 50s. And apparently it's caught on and it's very popular. And younger women are saying, yeah, I want an older guy, but not for the money. They want a power balance. And young guys are not into power balances. Young guys are, hey, I'm the man of the house. I want a traditional conservative women. And these women are too left-leaning. And so they can't find any guys their own age to date. And so they're going up and finding blue-pilled, left-leaning simp dudes. And that's who they're going to go for as their victim. I mean, their husbands. They say for a generation famous for canceling anything even remotely problematic, their sudden love for romantic pairings with a few decades between birthdays might seem surprising. But there's a real reason behind the romance, young hopefuls say. According to 19-year-old Liza, who's dating someone in his late 20s and sat down with the outlet, she said, I'd go on a date with someone my age, and more often than not, it would end up in a straight-up argument when he started saying, Andrew Tate makes good points. In other words, young women going on dates with young guys, and the guys are like, yeah, I'm not into this feminist crap. I'm not into it. I'm not buying it. I'm not down with it. And the women, well, maybe they'll still get their free dinner. Maybe they'll still shag him. But then they say, I don't want to date him. I don't want a long-term relationship. This man has traditional conservative values. Her boyfriend, super chill, a feminist, and weirdly so are most of his mates. He missed all the manosphere stuff, and it shows. In other words, this guy grew up, if he's in his late 20s, 10 years ago is when he was 18, 19. He was in high school. He got all the indoctrination of feminism. And there wasn't that much red pill talk and traditional conservative talk on the web like there is today. And so he grew up without those lessons, and now he's a good little blue-pilled simp that believes in feminism and everything else, along with all his friends, and that's who these women want. They don't want an equal, really. They want somebody that they can control and they can manipulate and dominate, especially after they've gone through all their rough years. With Gen Z women said to be leaning more progressive and outspoken. No, it's not progressive. They're full-on socialist. And yes, you can look it up. Women today, the majority of them, are now socialists that are in their 20s. Gen Z men increasingly choosing conservatism. Many young women say they're struggling to find like-minded mates, instead finding better matches a few years up the generational ladder. The numbers back up the claim. Only 56% of Gen Z reported having romantic relationships in their teens compared to 78% of boomers. That's not just a drop, it's a plummet. The so-called gender blend relationship could be the answer. Bumble says it's booming, with 63% of users reporting they're totally fine dating outside their age group. Now, what's funny is this is a picture from a TV show. This is a picture that is AI generated from its Adobe stock. They don't even have any real photos to explain this for the most part. They say the power dynamics were off, and even Gen Z knows it. See, that's really what it is. Everything is about power today. It's all about control. It's all about manipulation. It's all about using somebody else. And now Gen Z, the young women, are fine with it being an older man, as long as the woman's making her own income and they're quote unquote equals, it's okay. But if the guy makes all the money and a younger woman wants to date him because he's got status and everything else, and he wants to date her because she's young and attractive and still has some eggs in the basket, that's evil. But if the power dynamics are equal, according to the feminists, then it's fine. That just tells you they had no problems with age. It's never about the age. It's about power and control. That's really what it's about. The key thing that sorts the ick from the okay always has to be power balance. Emma Hawthorne, a relationship expert at Seeking.com, told British GQ. Hawthorne adds that social media is playing a major role in destigmatizing unconventional couples. Platforms like TikTok give us access to diverse relationship models we may not have been previously exposed to in our social circles, she said to the publication. The exposure is shifting societal expectations. In other words, Gen Z is learning that love just isn't about finding someone your own age. It's about finding someone on your own wavelength. So now the young Gen Z women are saying age is not an issue anymore. It's okay if a woman wants to date a guy 10 or 20 years older. That's no problem. Yes, he may have money and established, but I've got my own job and we're equals and we're partners and everything. So the age gap is no problem. Now, when it comes to if the guy has the money and he wants to, have a traditional relationship where he brings in the money and the cash, she's young and attractive, and well, that's a power imbalance, say the feminists. The problem is it's not really a power imbalance. It's just a power being used the way they don't like. See, a woman has youth and beauty and femininity and sexuality, and the older guy has status and money and intelligence and wherewithal, and maybe he's corporately successful or successful in a corporate world. Corporately is not a word, I don't think. But anyway, my whole point is they didn't like that power balance because woman's being used for her money and her beauty and her youth, and the guy's, well, he has money and power, and they can't have that. So the young women are fine so long as he's left-leaning, he's politically agreeable, and he's kind of blue-pilled and will do whatever they say. Then there's no problem with the age. That shows you how far these young women have been broken and that young men are not falling for the feminism. And the feminists, instead of changing their ways, instead of maybe softening their outlook on the world, they say nope, and they double down and just start dating older leftists that are right along them. And if you don't believe me, well, here's another article that just came out this week from news.com.au. What is a red pill man, and why don't women want to date him? There are more women than men in Australia, but despite the dating pool inequity, there's a growing number of single guys women refuse to date. Spoiler alert, those men also refuse to date the women because the guys are based and the women are feminists. There's over 330,000 more women than men in Australia, but despite the dating pool inequity, there's a growing number of single guys women will never pursue. Now, remember, this is news.com.au, so they have to they have to write this in a way that makes the women sound powerful and the men sound awful. I'm going to toss in some things that will even this out because I don't want to listen to their tripe. Anyway, they say there's a growing number of single guys women will never pursue, and there's a growing number of women that based guys will never pursue. It's kind of tit for tat. These undateable men are those who subscribe to the red pill notion, an alarming subculture that perpetuates a societal hatred against women by opposing feminist narratives and emphasizing traditional gender roles. Listen to how they write that. If a man does not support feminism and he emphasized traditional gender roles, that man is a societal hatred against women. That's what they're saying. So if a man says, I don't like feminism, I like traditional roles, these crazy women are like, oh, you hate women. No, they don't hate women. They're just not going to go along with your narrative of the way you want things. They're saying, this doesn't work out. I don't like this deal. I'm not signing up for this. And the women are, you hate women because you won't do what we tell you to do. That's basically where they are. The term originates from the 1999 film The Matrix, where the lead character offered blue pill, red pill. Red pill symbolizes awakening to harsh realities, while the blue pill represents remaining happy but ignorant. And it's still holding true today. Men's rights activism have taken the red pill concept to represent a similar awakening to what they perceive as the true nature of society and gender relations. These modern misogynists were misogynists because we won't do what the women want us to do. Just remember, that's what this really is. Again, it's about power. It's all about power. Do what we tell you or you hate women. Do what we tell you or you're misogynist. And then when a man says, okay, well, you do what we want you to do and we'll actually date and marry you. No, now you're misogynist. Now you're evil. They say the modern misogynists often come together online in virtual spaces dubbed the manosphere, a collective of various digital communities promoting warped views on masculinity. Ah, yes, the warped views like don't chase women, don't worry about women, worry about yourself, don't worry about going $250,000 in debt for a worthless college degree. Instead, study a trade, work hard, be a good man, learn to be independent. Oh, yes, stoicism, that's warped. This disturbing rise in troubled men is something Australians should be worried about, warns Tarang Chawla, a vocal advocate for gender equality and anti-harm campaigner. They're scared to death to lose power, and men are taking back the power, and that's why they're winning. The rise of red pill culture and manosphere thinking isn't just edgy internet banter, it's leading to real world harm, he told news.com.au. Every time I do a video. So the real world harm is, again, men not listening to feminism, men not listening to their tripe. At its core, it frames gender equality as this kind of threat and paints women as either being manipulative or lesser. No, that's not true. Again, they're going to the 0.0005%. It paints it as women are different. And yes, women can be manipulative. Of course they can. Why wouldn't men can be manipulative? There's a ton of players out there that are sleeping with somebody every single night, and they're manipulating these women either with their looks or their charm or their personality or their money or their power or their job status. Men are manipulating women, and women are manipulating men. And it's not that necessarily women are lesser. No, in many ways, women are lesser on some things, but they're better at other things. I mean, women are way better at having babies. Women are way better at washing dishes and cooking when they used to know how to do that. Someone's going to take this seriously and probably put this video up for demonetization because I joke. The ideal that men are universally oppressed or that women only pursue wealthier men or a certain kind of man references this toxic adversarial view of gender that is pitting people against each other. Oh, I agree. But what you're seeing from men is the response to the attack. It's not the attack. When some men feel entitled to women's attention but believe they're being denied, It's a rigged system, resentment builds. I agree with that. And resentment, when mixed with entitlement and dehumanization, becomes a risk factor. Okay, whatever. While these groups grow and spread vitriol, oh, I don't know about that. I think feminists are the ones spreading the vitriol. I think they're the ones freaking out. They're the ones yelling. They're the ones protesting. They're the ones spray painting and burning things. It's not the men. What do the men do? We talk online and do videos like this and make fun of women with memes. I don't think the two are the same. I'm not going to go down through the rest of this. It's basically just crapping on, but it does say the point. Women are not wanting to date red pill guys. They're not wanting to date traditional men. They're not wanting to date guys that stand up for themselves and are against feminism. They don't want to date those guys. If they're hot enough, they'll sleep with them. But other than that, they want a provider to settle down with. Nothing's really changed, except the difference is now women want to sleep, when the younger women want to keep sleeping with the bad boys. And then when no other guy would want them, they're looking up by 10 or 20 years, finding an older blue-pilled simp that'll agree with them and let them run the household. And then they'll go shack up with him to maybe either have kids or raise the kids that they were given by Chad Chatterick. That's the way this is all going. Nothing new here, but at least the Gen Z men are saying, I'm not participating in this. I'm not listening to your feminism. I'm moving more conservative. I'm moving more red pill, as they want to call it. And if you don't like it, I don't care. You don't get to control me. You don't get to tell me what to do. You don't get to threaten with not sleeping with me or not dating me. That doesn't work for young guys anymore. Young guys are growing big, thick spines, and they're saying, I'm not going to do it anymore. So good on you for you young men out there that are holding to the cause. Now, if you still want to get involved with women, you want to sleep with them and all these other, that's fine. Go hit the gym, get in good shape, go out and have your fun. Make sure you vet them so they're not crazy, because 63 or 65% of these women are on some sort of medication because of the old, cuckoo in the brain. Make sure you're smart about it. Be safe, but otherwise have fun. And then when it's time for them to settle down, they'll not talk to you anymore, and they'll go date the older blue-pilled simps. Sounds like win-win to me. I don't know about you. Guys, if you do like this content, make sure to join me over at betterbachelor.locals.com on Locals, or if you're on Rumble, hit the join button down below. And if you're on YouTube, get over to Rumble. I'm doing so many streams over there that, where's my other button? Here we go. I'm doing so many streams over there, you guys just don't see. I'm doing live streams, I'm doing content. YouTube keeps shutting me down on everything, so there's a lot of stuff I'm not putting over here anymore. I'm just saying, get over to Rumble. There's a lot of great content over there you may not know about by a lot of great content creators, and I think you'll like the switch. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.